Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Pong Odyssey. We've been gone for a while, but we're back. I'm one of your hosts, Francois Donation.
I'm Andrew Sorsdahl.
And it's spooky season here in the House of Peterson. Halloween's right around the corner. So I was kind of racking my brain as to what I thought would be like a cool thing to do for Halloween. And we were talking a little bit before. Cinemassacre, if you guys haven't seen it, the guys who do like the Angry Video Game Nerd. But James Rolfe for decades, over a decade now, has been doing a show called Monster Madness. That and I think you and Bradford and everybody here is a huge fan of. So I thought, why don't we do kind of our own little Monster Madness, maybe a little more in depth, a little longer.
Not as specific.
Yeah, not quite as specific. Who knows, maybe in the future we'll do like more themed stuff. Mm-hmm. But I thought this year, what I was going to do at first is I was going to choose like 15 of my favorite horror movies, or the ones I thought were the best. And then I was going to force you to sit down and watch them all with me, and then we were going to talk about those ones. But then I was like, that's old hat. That seems too obvious. So why not choose 15 that I haven't seen that sound kind of interesting on their face? Yeah. And then, so what we're going to do today, we're going to start off with like an easy one. Modern film just came out on Disney Plus called No One Will Save You. So yeah, I thought we'd start modern, and then I just chose a whole bunch from different eras and different years and different countries and whatever, like
just different shit.
One is even like kind of experimental that I thought would be interesting to maybe throw in there. And then at the end of each episode, what we're going to do is we're going to spin a little roulette wheel. We'll choose the one for the next episode, and then whatever, watch that and do the same thing this time around. But to go back to the film that we're reviewing on this episode, No One Will Save You came out in 2023, and I'm just going to read the little like Wikipedia blurb here for you. It's a 2023 American science fiction horror film written, directed, and produced by Brian Duffield, starring Caitlin Dever. And this is a super interesting tidbit I found out just now when I was looking on Wikipedia. Apparently the entire film only has 5 words of spoken dialogue throughout its entire runtime, which I wouldn't have guessed from the trailer. Like, the trailer looks very like standard horror movie.
Yeah, it's almost dynamic in its own ways. I mean, yeah.
Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah, like not recently. I remember seeing it when it came out, I think. Or maybe when we were looking, my sister's a horror fanatic, and when she was over last, I think we were looking through stuff to watch, and that was one that the trailer we watched, and we were looking at ones to maybe watch.
I think like the reason this one like caught my eye at first was I don't think there's a ton of really good horror alien invasion movies. And like, spoil it a little bit, like, I think that's what this movie's about. All the marketing seems to be like, there's like beams coming from the sky and shit like that. Dark Skies was okay. Fire in the Sky that came out, I think, in like the 90s was pretty good.
What was that god-awful found footage one that we watched with Mahadi?
Arizona.
Something.
Arizona Forgotten or something like that?
Yeah.
That one was not great.
No.
Nope was like, Nope wasn't for me, but like,
I still haven't seen Nope because of your...
Yeah, it's like, it wasn't for me.
I
think I for sure, maybe I should watch it again because of how, like, my reaction was not what everybody else's was. But, to make it a long story short, like, there's very few of these alien invasion... The Thing, that's a great alien movie. But, like, so few, I think, and especially in modern times, there's so few alien invasion movies. And I love fucking alien shit. They just released a new alien invasion or like abduction documentary on Netflix. Ooh. And I just love that shit. Like,
would Signs wouldn't be considered horror, even though it scared the fuck out of me.
Signs is a good. I think Signs is horror. I think that counts.
That scared the absolute shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah. Signs is another good.
It felt
example.
So real.
Yeah.
I just remember it feeling like they're coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm scared.
Yeah. So there's a few of those like examples, and like at least I'll say this for the ones that I just listed, those are actually like pretty good movies. Signs is like dynamite. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to see a new alien invasion movie because it's like shark movies. It's something I wish came around way more often, but just never come around, and I don't know why. But yeah, with that being said, we're gonna go watch the movie right now, and then we'll come back after we've checked it out, and we'll let you know our thoughts and if we thought it was good, and if the 5 spoken words of dialogue was a good idea or they should have cut that idea.
I'm sure we'll have lots of thoughts on that specifically.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much. We'll see you in a bit.
Can't you feel it? It's alive. Watching. waiting.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw the film, and what a film it was. That was not what I was expecting
Yeah, I
it
was
to
going to
be.
say totally unexpected, I would say.
So like, it's for sure an alien invasion movie. Definitely. Like, that's an accurate description. Like the one line isn't wrong, but it's a lot more.
It reminds me a lot of Barbarian in that your expectations are subverted throughout the film.
Yeah.
Go in thinking it's one thing.
Not quite as crazy.
No. It's at least the same, like, general through line.
Yeah.
But definitely, as layers get peeled back, more and more expectations are subverted.
Yeah.
throughout.
And it's like, there's I wanted to bring this for this show, but way, like, years ago, like a decade or plus ago, I remember I was like in my peak horror phase, which I guess I'm still in, but it was like, I remember sitting down and being like, what is it I like about some horror movies and then some horror movies that I don't like? What is it, what's the thing that differentiates them or whatever? And so I wrote these 4 rules, and I'll find it because I have them written down somewhere, but I wrote like 4 rules of what I consider to be like really effective horror, and kind of like the 4 things I need horror movies to do for me to consider them like a true horror film. And this film, like, was super interesting. I think the thing that this movie did the best, it did a lot of things really, really excellently.
The individual elements were really strong, for sure.
But the atmosphere it cultivated, I think, was maybe my favorite thing that it did overall. Like,
agreed, yeah.
Because the movie had no spoken dialogue, it lent, I never like considered this, but like that being a conceit lent itself so well to the invasion style movie, because like,
oh yeah, totally.
Like, if you've ever heard people describe, like, people who claim to have been abducted by aliens, and you ever hear them describe it, like, the thing that always comes to the forefront is how isolating the experience is, and how, like, you feel totally alone, you're unable to communicate. Like, often people describe being frozen or like missing time and stuff like that. And this movie having like next to no dialogue, it really leaned itself into that. It felt very isolating. Even though she, like, you see it's not just the main actress, it's mostly the main actress. It's like, this is like a one person show basically, but she does like try to interact with people, and she runs into people, but because of the no dialogue, and she's unable to like effectively communicate with people. Like, she is a fully normal person. It's not like she's mute or anything like that. Like, that's not the conceit of the movie. It's not like she's deaf or mute or anything.
Going through, obviously, she's a pariah, so she's already isolated before the movie even starts, like before the events transpire.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like segues into the further isolation of the whole alien abduction experience.
The two fit each other very well. It's interesting because like the movie is simultaneously a story about like trauma from something, and then also that invasion is thrown in there, and those two things seem really unrelated on its face, but
as we peel back the layers throughout the film, like by the end it all kind of comes full circle, and
it's very much like a peanut butter jelly. Like, it feels like such a natural pairing. The two just go, because they're both isolating things. They're like, and I guess like if you like to go back to people who have described abductions, and like, who knows if it's like probably all bullshit, but it's like if you listen to them and how they describe it, it is always like they describe it as like this really traumatic event or whatever. So like that kind of leans into that too. I was super impressed. I kind of went in like wanting like a good little invasion alien movie.
Yeah, kind of something a little more straightforward. And it kind of starts out that way. And then again, as things get revealed and layers get pulled back, goes a little bit more into the just weird. It just gets more and more.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. Usually that's a thing that I don't like.
Yeah.
Especially because typically what happens for a movie like Infinity Pool, for example.
Yeah.
We go away from the straightforward element, which is more interesting than the thing that the twist is less interesting than what was happening before that. And it's like, why are we pivoting away from the thing that was more interesting? But in this case, it actually was, I wouldn't say it's really traditionally horror,
No.
but it was an interesting movie.
It's like, yeah, to go back to loop back to what I was talking about with those rules of horror or whatever. I kept thinking in the back of my head while we were watching, I'm like, oh, I don't think this is doing some of the stuff. This isn't hitting all the points that I would like it to hit necessarily. But like as I kept sitting there, and I mean, I think my horizons are expanding a little bit as to what I would include in true horror and stuff. But this movie had such an excellent atmosphere, a great through line, and one of the rules that I can remember, because there's 4 of them and I kind of remember them, but the one I can remember that's super important to me for effective horror is whatever your malevolent forces in the film, whether it be a murderer or a ghost or an alien or a supernatural, whatever it is, at the end of the film, if that thing is still not out there, if it's still not stalking people, I don't consider it a horror film. If there's a resolution reached where it's like the main character's defeated whatever the thing was,
A satisfying conclusion.
yeah, I don't consider it horror. In my mind, a horror movie has to leave you feeling uneasy in some way.
Or there has to be like despair.
Yeah, like yeah.
A great example of not like The Mist. The ending of The Mist is fucking brutal.
Absolutely, yeah. See, great example. That's the thing. When I say uneasy, I use that word very purposefully because uneasy can be so many different things.
Broad spectrum.
And exactly, like you shouldn't leave a horror movie with a smile on your face, being like, yeah, that was great. Like that's not a good. You shouldn't feel resolved. There should be this feeling of like, fuck something. And this movie, interestingly enough, it's funny.
It's kind of both things at the same time. Because on the one hand, it's like, without spoiling anything, on the one hand, she kind of conquers stuff.
Yep.
But on the other hand, it's also kind of this nightmarish,
hellish
proposition that she's left with.